Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Faith Podcast. My name is Evan Bungham. I have my co-host Luke Timmons with me here today. We are on episode 58, and we have a very exciting episode for you today. We're going to be going over trout fishing opener, and we're going to be talking about turkey opener and the new interesting dire wolves, new species. Shouldn't say new, old species. But Luke, how are we doing today?
Good. When this drops, I'll be sitting in the truck, probably driving to Turkey Woods by the time this one drops. So
we're back in the saddle.
Yeah,
that's like the exciting thing is like now we can stop. I mean, we're still going to be talking about it, but we can actually like get out and do something about it now.
Yeah, yeah. It's no longer the talk is cheap thing. It's the time to see if we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is it's finally here. You know, we've I think, like I said, we keep joking about it, but we've said this like every week, but trout fishing's finally here. Turkey hunting's finally here. Spring is sprung, I feel like.
Better knock on wood. Don't even say that.
No,
don't say the S word.
We will not speak of the S word the rest of the podcast. We'll just dance around the fire.
Yeah. I mean, weather looks good. So it looks like it's gotta finally get some warm up here going on. So
nice.
should be a good trout should be a good trout opener. Should be both trout and turkey. So it'll be a nice reprieve. It's been a weird. I was talking to one of the daycare dads about this yesterday. It's just like, can we finally get some non-freezing weather at night, you know? Because like the plants, the trees, they're all budding and ready to go. It's just darn cold.
I feel guilty that I haven't been home to know what the hell is going on. I feel like I'm a world traveler. being that went from Florida to Vegas and now like back home and came home to the you know what, and the ground is bare again. So it's kind of nice. I've got some yard chores to get caught up with, but
always, yeah.
You, on the other hand, have been out roaming around doing your due diligence of scouting. Tell me what you've been finding with on the Turkey Woods. Seems like you got some pretty exciting updates and should be a pretty slam dunk spring.
I haven't seen one turkey this year. I don't know where they went. I don't know if they know turkey season's coming, but they're gone. So
you better knock on wood right now.
No, it's been pretty cool to see not only the woods start to kind of turn its intensity level up, but the other morning I was just sitting in the truck parked on an in drive, just watching turkeys, deer, geese, and ducks flying around, and it was so loud. I mean, like they were far away, but there were so many turkeys firing off. Crows were just yakking at them, and it was cool. So there's a lot of turkeys on the move right now, and you even starting to see some breeding behavior too, with some hens laying down and turkeys doing their thing. So it's
nice.
Patiently waiting, like always, for this last month and a half. But
would you say, have you been out more in the mornings or the evenings?
Healthy mix, probably 50-50.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more mornings just because it's easier. You know, I can sneak out before work and drive around in the truck and just drive by all of the spots and see what's shaking and kind of cruise around, see what's going on. And evenings, I got out a couple times. Got some cool filmage. I'd like to get out maybe once before the season just to maybe try and get a little bit more. But
nice. Yeah, I believe I'm going to get. Oh, I mean, this is past the time, but I'll probably get out one or two more times and get some scouting in at least. I mean, I feel pretty good about back home. But up here up north, I've got probably one or two more spots I definitely would like to hit up and just once again, like verify, going back that there was turkeys there 3 weeks ago. I'm assuming there's still birds there now, but it's hard to tell. So, but pretty soon we'll just be able to go out and you can scout a piece and hunt at the same time. The beautiful thing, the best way to do it.
Yeah. What is so? Going off of that, because this will drop on turkey opener for Minnesota. What does turkey opener or just opening day in general mean to you?
That's a good one. It's like opening day baseball. People get all razzed up about that, but opening day for turkey hunting for me, I really would like to say that it's a bigger deal to me than it is for opening day of deer season. Not opening day of gun season, but opening day of bow hunting. I think for turkey hunting for me, it's a kickoff of the rat race for the next month and a half of getting a bunch of people out and chasing a bunch of birds. And usually opening day doesn't let me down. Like it's been pretty good to me throughout the years of where like sometimes there's been snow, but for the most part, like every opening morning has usually been pretty electric where birds are fired up, you're back into it. And I don't know. For me, it's like it's spring is sprung type of deal where it's like, you've been cooped up all winter and it's like got a gun or a bow back in my hand, taking the kids out, like the best.
Yeah, I mean, really for me, it's just getting back into the woods after being, cooped up all winter. It's just nice to
Yeah.
get back out there, and the excitement is obviously, it's like being a kid on Christmas again. You get to be excited to, wake up and go chase birds or deer or whatever opening day you're talking about. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've recently obviously gotten into turkey hunting here in the last few years, so for me it's kind of fun because it's a lot of unknown yet,
Yeah.
still learning how to do different things, and now this year doing most of that by myself as far as like getting me a bird or guiding, or not guiding, but helping, hunting with my dad, hunting with my brother, getting the Jenna out for the first time this year. So it'll be interesting, it'll be fun though. It'll be super busy. I was joking with my wife and my mom yesterday because they were talking about going down to Iowa for a full day in May and getting flowers and lunch, and they kind of looked at me and I was like, don't bank on me being anywhere near that during turkey season. Just a heads up.
It's okay. If you want to be a flower farmer, go for it, man. I'm not going to think different of you.
No, I just kind of didn't necessarily like, this is the law of the land, but it was like, I've been, been a good boy here now for the last few months. It's time for get back into the swing of things and chase birds and do, that's what's nice with, just being, we talked about that a little bit last week, but just being intentional with like the relationship you have with your spouse as far as like, wintertime, summertime, I'm around all year round. Spring for a month and a half and fall is like, it's go time. That's Dad's going to work.
Well, the fun thing with it too, I mean, not only just from that, but also like it gets me excited now, like my daughter's been asking me literally for the last 3 months, like, Dad, when are we going to turkey hunt? It's like, told her this morning, I was like, we are going to go turkey hunting next weekend. She's like, what? I'm like, yep, it is finally happening. We are going turkey hunting. We can actually get out. It's like the fun thing for me is like, as the years come too, is like, it's going to be my excuse of like, oh yeah, she can come with me. We're going to go. We're going to go hunting. See you later.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, it's tough now because they're 4 and 5. Let's be real.
It's like one of those types of hunt where it's like, do I want to go sit in a blind?
Yeah, no. Right.
But
it's getting them involved in it.
Yeah. I mean, she's like, she's funny this morning. She's like, well, I gotta have my, she's like, it's gonna be loud, right? I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be loud. And she's like, you gotta have your headphones on. She's like, so she's already planning out what we're doing. I don't know yet what the plan is with her, or if I'm going to take her out in the morning or the afternoon. I mean, I'm still blown away that we did that with the kids, that we took them out at 4:30 in the morning at 2.5 and 1.5. But it was fun.
They'll learn. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Cause I think just the more you involve your kids in things right off the bat, the better. Whether it's traveling with them, whether it's going to places with them, it's like, there's obviously you need to build in time for you and your wife, but we have kids, so it's either, we come or we don't. With some of that stuff.
So the big thing I wanted to run through on this podcast is being that we're already going to be past season opener, but we haven't really, I know we've talked about it on the podcast a little bit, but I want to dive into some just nit and gritty stuff about trout fishing. Trout fishing for me, one of the biggest things, influential things in my life. Grew up trout fishing down southeastern Minnesota with my dad since I was just like 2. But you have fallen in love with trout fishing, which is awesome. And you've kind of been a local expert. You've made it out. You've made it out plenty of times, and I want to pick your brain. So, what are your thoughts for opener? Like, what is ideal river conditions? Where do you plan on going? Hit me with it.
Well, I'll start with your definition of expert and mine are very different, and you use that word a little more loosely than I would. But I have gotten into it the last few years. I don't even know why and how, but I just kind of did, and then going down like
you didn't come trout fishing with like my dad and
nope,
I like
never.
when we were young. Yeah.
Nope. No. So I mean, I think it was just kind of one of those things. It's like summertime, and I'm like scratching to get out and do something that's different, and it's kind of in our backyard. So, but I mean, as far as like conditions, like not snow, and I said
the word.
I said the S word. Dang it! Means we're gonna. It's like the groundhog. 6 more months of winter. No, yeah. But no. So I mean, like conditions. I don't really. I mean, it's been a weird couple of years, like where it's been drought or really wet 1 month and super dry and low water. So something in between, man. Just so it's just kind of normal. I love fishing in the mornings. Try to get to a spot right at sunset or sunrise. Just for everything we always talk about, woods waking it up.
Yeah.
You get some of those mornings where the dew point and the temp are about the same, and you get some really cool foggy, atmosphere conditions, which is just sets the ambiance for fishing. And the way I look at trout fishing is like you're not it's more peaceful. I don't know if that's the word, but like I like fishing out of the boat, don't get me wrong, but there's just something more intimate with trout fishing. Like I don't fly fish at all. I need another hobby. Like I need another hole in my head, but so it's like I can just quick go grab the spinner reel and head out and go kill a few hours. And it's something easy too, especially when it's early season or even later into the fall. There's not a whole lot of weed growth or anything, so I can get out with Liam and the boys and just go fish the shores, and it's just kind of nice. So I like doing it. It's fun. You get into some cool spots. There's some awesome creeks down southeastern Minnesota. As far as where I'm going, I'll probably figure that out. I think Thursday night I'm going to get together with Noah and just kind of plan together. I got a Easter dinner on Saturday, so get out in the morning, fish a little bit in the early afternoon, then head back home. So
nice. So what, talking a little bit more about just kind of, spots in particular. I mean, we are just a state of cow fields and rocks.
Yep.
With southeastern Minnesota being one of the top destinations, really here in the Midwest, outside of the Ozarks, and maybe northern Minnesota, Wisconsin's really good too. But like we're very blessed
whole
to have
driftless area, yeah.
Very blessed to have what we do for trout streams. And I think I can remember it being really, really good when I was a kid. And I think it's still really, really, really good.
Yep. I would agree. I mean, I don't have any point of reference outside of the last 4 years, but I don't knock on flipping wood again, but I haven't, really had a day where I truly just got skunked, where you usually, if you put in like anything, you put in the effort, you put in the mileage, you'll find them. And it's just, like for me, it's not like I'll catch myself being like, okay, 5 more casts with this lure and then I'll change out. Well, then it's like 50 casts later, I'm still using the same lure. So it's like just being able to be, I can't think of the word I'm looking for here, but just being able, being not set on one thing, trying new things, trying different lures, not falling in love with a setup. Something maybe completely. Last year I tried for the first time doing some bobber fishing, and you got to, depending on the creek and stuff. Some don't allow you know bait or anything like that, so you got to be up on your regs or whatever. But being able to use some of that stuff to try and change up and new things. But yeah, like you said, you could go from hunting, fishing in the bluff country, in the woods, to just literally fishing a cow pasture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty fun.
It's cool to see it too, because you could be fishing a creek, not even a creek or a creek. What is the definition between creek and stream? I would assume that a stream's bigger than a creek, but you could be fishing a 3-foot wide creek in the middle of a cow pasture, or you could get all the way down by Whitewater and you're gonna be casting into a river.
Yeah, I mean, you could be fishing the rut or something, right?
So that's the coolest thing that I've experienced, is where it's like, man, you could just go and go and go and go as far as you want, and I've never have not had a good time trout fishing, even if I haven't caught anything.
Yeah, no, it's just
like I said, breaking my pole. That was probably the only bad time, but I still caught a fish. So
you did. I was impressed. That was one of those spots. Every time I go back to, I think about that. I'm like, yep, that's
first cast. Snapped a brand new St. Croix rod, which. No, it wasn't St. Croix. I think it was a Shield special, because if it was St. Croix, they would have replaced it because they have a lifetime warranty, I think. But
sure,
yeah, highly unfortunate.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Speaking of, I remember one time I went out with my dad, and he brought out a pole that hadn't been strung up in a while, and we get like an hour into it maybe, and he's basically lost all of his line already. There wasn't much line on there, and I'm just like, oh boy. But we had fun. Good time.
It's good.
Got one of the biggest browns I've ever caught on that one. So
what would you say is the biggest trout you've ever caught?
Probably a brown.
Nice. Yeah, the browns in southeastern Minnesota can get
you get some into some pretty nice ones.
Yeah.
You catch a lot of rainbows. I haven't caught a whole lot of brookies, but I haven't, they're there. I mean, I've caught a handful the last few years, but I would love to catch it. What is it? A tiger? What's the mix of that? A brook and a brown? Or what is that one?
Yeah. I think, let's see. Mix, let's look this up. Mix, brown.
Yeah, brook and a brown. They are cool looking, I'll tell you that. But they're very, very rare, I think.
Actually, I have a bunch of them in my backyard.
Nice. I'm not going to ask how you got those.
Kidding.
But yeah,
no, it's trout fishing. It's such a deep thing in my veins, in my roots, of where it's just like that's literally the first thing I grew up doing with my dad was trout fishing. I grew up tying flies, grew up fishing down. My dad would be he'd take me with him to work, and which probably wasn't ideal. And then we'd go fish on his lunch breaks, and we'd drive around, do his routes, and then as time got on, we'd make weekends out of it. Having shore lunch, eating trout down by the river is the best.
Yeah, dude,
it's hard to beat. It's fun. It's fun to go back and hit those old spots, and it's been fun to see it too, that there's been more that have opened up through time. And you've opened my eyes to spots that, I never knew even existed.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. They've done a very, very good job with, setting aside some of that, easement land for people to be able to fish those streams and stuff. So yeah, there's opportunities out there. You just got to be, and there's a couple spots too where I've had on my kind of radar where I just haven't had the time to go. I would love to dedicate a full day or weekend into some of them and just fish the entire thing.
Yeah,
just
go through it.
But time's limited sometimes.
Well, just to be able to, it's pretty cool that I just look at it for where we're at in southeastern Minnesota. You can certainly have a boat in southeastern Minnesota, and you can go fish the river. You can go fish there's a couple local lakes, reservoirs maybe, but they have the ability to go fish the driftless like you talk about. And hey, I want to go fishing for an hour. All right, well, Chatfield's 35 minutes away. go fish for an hour, come back. There's 2 hours out of your day, like,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to go get that kind of reprieve of that getaway, and yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's fun, man. Yeah. Yeah. So looking forward to that. It'll be fun time. Like you said, this will drop a few days after that. So I'll have to do an update on that one. But gonna try and do a vlog too. Try
Nice.
and a little trout opener. We'll see how busy it is too. You never know with opening day on stuff.
Would you say so with trout fishing though? Would you say like what is the best? Would you say like right now kicking off? Just kind of like I look at turkey hunting. Like usually it's a mixed bag. What people would tell you best time. I would say the first 2 weeks of the season is probably your best time. Do you feel like trout fishing is similar to that? Where like even like fishing in Minnesota, that opening weekend's usually kind of your best. You're catching post spawn fish. That's similar to trout fishing.
I probably, it's I don't know. Like I said, I've only kind of done it the last few years, so I'm looking into like comparing year over year. I don't know. I've had success all year round. I mean, as far as from now until deer season, basically.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, it's like just like hunting. You put in the effort, you put in the time, you put in the boot leather or rubber if you're, using waders or something, but you'll find them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's kind of crazy how easy it is to find like a bunch of them. Like just with Liam, I mean, I was maybe 100 yards from the road and we were just killing them. So
I think it's pretty interesting how sometimes, for me, like I think of like growing up, like early season was always the best just because you said it about with your kids too, of like where the grass cover, weed cover is at its lowest.
Mm-hmm.
You also stick out a lot better. I mean, like for people that don't really know, I mean, like sort of some maybe advantages of fly fishing a little bit where you can have a little bit of distance from your shoreline with casting.
Oh yeah. That's something I never knew.
Those trout, they can see
I'd
you.
show up in a black shirt like this, and all of a sudden you'll see, ripples going, and you're like, huh, okay. And the more you read about it, here's a good one. What would you prefer? Because this is kind of like a Ford versus Chevy debate, maybe, but would you rather cast like upstream and bring your lure down with the current, or vice versa?
I think it depends on what I'm casting. Like
if I'm throwing like a Mep or a Panther Martin.
If I'm throwing a Mep, I don't think it necessarily. God, I would say, does it have to be up or down? Can it be sideways? Like, can I cast like
like
at
across?
An angle? Yeah. Like if I'm casting downstream, if I can cast across and then I'm pulling it upstream, obviously I'm going to kind of be able to, just pull across that current and whatnot. And I'm going to maybe get a little bit more action out of my lure. It's going to be a little bit slower. Now, if I'm casting upstream, it's going to be a little, or no, did I say that backwards? Downstream. So yeah, if I'm casting upstream, pulling it back and come back a little bit faster. But for fly fishing, I would say if I had a dry fly or anything like that, I'd probably rather have that be casting downstream. So it's just
pulling it with up the current?
Pulling it with the current and just kind of letting the current do its job of getting that to where I want it to be.
Sure.
That makes sense. That was really confusing in my head. I'm like, God, upstream, downstream, current.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it straight, but no, because you always hear about, obviously fish are facing, the current. So any food, bugs, whatever are coming towards them. So, you can start to fish. I always like watching like some of the foam that you can find, or, like the
on where it starts the pocket up top.
Yep. And then with me is like, I like to follow that because if there's like a food source on top of the water, it's going to follow that same general path. So you can kind of start to see pools where that food's going to get dumped into, where fish are going to kind of hang up or suspend or whatever. Maybe not suspend because there's not that much water, but what I'm talking about.
Are you a big sunglass wearer while you trout fish? Like polarized?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot. I mean, you can see the fish. I hate wearing sunglasses. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I have a giant head. I like using them. Like I like the ability to see into the water, but just like, I don't know. Shameless plug to any sunglass company that specializes in dudes with big heads, because Hit me up.
I look at for me like sunglasses while trout fishing are like
Oh, you need them.
100%.
Yeah,
Like
even if it's cloudy, you need them.
looking like for me like looking at pools from a distance, like you can especially like some of those larger bodies of water I look at for trout fishing where it's it's a little bit easier because you can kind of from a distance you can see there's a bunch of rocks right here and then there's a deep pool on the side of the canyon right there, thinking more like southeastern Minnesota where you get into those bigger limestone cuts.
Yep.
But like where it's like, okay, obviously the deep pool's right there, but on the backside of that rock, that's right where, it's starting to jetty out a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a little tiny 1.5 foot pool right there. Well, there's 4 fish that are stocked up behind that rock
Right there. Yeah.
in the current. You might not think that where it's like, oh, they're only in that 7 foot deep pool out there. There might be a couple big browns back in there, but like, man, that's the one thing that opened my eyes with having glasses or excuse me, sunglasses that there's trout everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't know. It's just one of those things that just like a pet peeve. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're a necessity for sure. And then it's like, I have like all I carry is just a little, I don't know if it's Plano or who it is, but just a little like side bag basically,
Mm-hmm.
and then just throw a couple plastic trays of an assortment of Meps and Panther Martins and every color that they offer.
Light and nimble.
Yep, exactly. I'll tell you what, it'll make you a lot better caster really fast because there's a lot of crap to hook onto, whether it's branches or
So
grass.
break down your setup for me. Like, I mean, I know, like I said, like I've done both. I grew up spin casting like you and got into fly fishing, but have got out of fly fishing, got back into spin casting just because of time and life and stuff. I want to get back into fly fishing. But for you, being that like I said, I called you an expert earlier. I say that because I know you're good at catching trout.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you're the one that's kind of got me back into it again. But like,
Mm-hmm.
what's your setup? Like, from your rod reel combo, like what are you running for weight and line?
Oh boy. um, Last year I got a Shields ultralight spinning rod, and I think it was with their reel too. I have to go in the garage and pull my stuff out again. But as far as line, light, and it's hard because they can see it too. So it depends on what you're using too, as far as fluorocarbon, whatever. And I'm gonna butcher my way through this year because, like I said, it's only been a couple years. But, yeah, I mean that's kind of my setup. I like to go small as far as like I don't like having a really long rod.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine's like a 5'6". Yeah, it's got to be because it's
That's still
shorter
pretty
than me.
big.
Yeah, I think that's about as small as I've found as far as like decent rods and stuff. And
They don't really make trout rods, which surprises me. Like I've bought some panfish rods that have worked out really nice, like
mm-hmm.
5 foot panfish rods. You get the small reel on there, throw on like some 2, 3 or not 2, 3, excuse me, 3, 4 pound fluorocarbon on there, and you're good to go.
That's basically the same thing. You know what I mean? As far
Yeah.
as panfish and trout, so, and like I said, there was another, I forget what company it was. There's a new one I tried last year, outside of those Meps and Panther Martin. But, like I said, it's totally dependent too on conditions, on what you're throwing, colors, gold, silver, fire tiger, pink, blue, you name it. So the way I look at it is the more I have in my bag, the more options I have to try when things aren't, when they ain't biting. So
I will say though, I will give a shout out to Ugly Stick, and this might be something that I run this spring because then it makes sense to why maybe it was just more readily available, or my dad knew something that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like thinking of all the old fishing rods that we had for trout fishing, they're all Ugly Sticks.
Okay,
but you can't break an Ugly Stick.
Good luck. Yeah.
So maybe I need to work my way up from an Ugly Stick because I can't handle not breaking a rod.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, man. It's. I'm excited too for that now because it's coming So
It's here.
and summer's nice too because then you can get out. Like we've gone to Whitewater a couple times. It's good. There's more people there, obviously, because it's a
Yeah.
state park and stuff. But it's easy for as far as getting the kids out or something. So,
Nice.
but yeah, man, it's trout. I mean, like you said, turkeys, trout, and dire wolves.
To me though, like just to close it on something like that, that's the best day that could happen is you get out, you turkey hunt, you kill a bird, you go out, even if you don't kill one, then you get out and you trout fish like immediately after. Like I wish we had trout where we're at in southeast Minnesota where you got to drive about 20 minutes, 40. Well, no, I mean, you'd be shocked just outside of Chatfield. I mean, that's where you've taken me, and that's only as the crow flies. That's 25 minutes from the farm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
but the good stuff's a little bit farther away. But dire wolves, tell me about that.
They're back.
Interesting. I didn't even know. I didn't even know they were like a thing. I just assumed it was like a Game of Thrones, like it just existed on the show. Didn't realize there was actual like legit dire wolves that used to roam the earth.
Yeah, me neither. Until I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast, and they're back. They successfully have created. I can't say cloned really because they're created 3 now. So what's
insane?
Yeah, I don't know.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. That's what I was just gonna say. It's like one of those things where it's so new to me. Where it's how do I react to it? I don't know. It sounds super cool and interesting, but it's going down that vein of, for one, haven't you ever seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
But that same company is trying to do, I think, woolly mammoths.
Haven't they said that for like 10 years though?
Well, it takes time, but yeah.
Come on, science, modern day science.
Yeah. Well, so do you think science has gone too far in some areas?
You know, we could go down. That's why I think we saved this for the last part of the podcast. I look at it where it's like, for me, I think it's super fascinating, super cool, but I do think that you're playing a little bit of God of where it's like, you know what? Because like people have been cloning their pets and stuff like that for some time. And you've talked about like there's the whole bits of cloning the sheeps and those type of things but yeah, I do think it's a little bit of like, I don't know. I have a hard time if it like, I look at it like what was the Australian tiger that got killed off?
Thylacine.
That's what okay. So like, obviously completely our fault for killing them. Like 100%. Like it wasn't just the evolutions of time and just life. Like the dinosaurs. We didn't kill the dinosaurs. They died due to just time and whatever, the Big Bang, whatever the hell you want to call it. They died off. You know, they didn't become extinct because of us. Like I could see the rhetoric of like bringing them back because we did the wrong thing and killed them. But at the same time, it's like, well, they are gone. They're extinct. Like kind of putting that hand of God where it's like, we're just going to bring back whatever we want now. And it just changes the evolution of things. I don't know.
Yeah. And like I said, I quite honestly don't know how to react to it yet because I haven't had, enough probably time to think about it. But, when you think about the same vein as like gene editing or CRISPR, that technology, they're powerful tools, but like kind of like you said, it's playing God a little bit because you're not necessarily healing a disease. You're creating, well, with CRISPR, with that stuff. I mean, like I don't even know nobody really knows what's going on in China, obviously, because they're all controlled by the CCP. But it's I don't think it's necessarily discovery. I think it's more pride with some of this stuff. Like they're cool, but I don't think it's coming from a place of like stewardship. I mean, like they claim like, oh, if we reintroduce woolly mammoths in like the tundra of Russia, that's a big one. Like, do we know that would actually help with that ecosystem? We can surmise that it may help, but is it actually gonna? We don't know because it's one of those things, and it's tough because we've been given dominion over the land, over animals, but that doesn't mean like domination. It means like protecting out there. And I don't know. It's tough to react to it because it's so new and not really sure how to react to it. But I think like as far as like conservation goes, because I know that was brought up a few times on that podcast as far as like, well, this is good for conservation, but it's like, what about things like restoring prairies or managing deer herds or protecting watersheds? Like that's in my eyes, that's that's the stewardship, that's the dominion over the land. I don't know about this one.
It's like that's the hard thing is that where it's like, all right, well, where are these going to get reinduced at? Like, is it going to be in Russia? Is it going to be in Alaska? Is it going to be up in somewhere around the Arctic tundra? Is like, is that where they're getting? Or are they going to put them out in like Colorado and?
Well, like, they have. I mean, with the dire wolves, they have no intentions of releasing these things. They're on some sort of preserve up in northern U.S., wherever that is.
But what if it's like Jurassic Park? What if two of them get out?
I don't know.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you play what ifs all day, but it's hard, man. I think we have to remember that we're a part of creation and we're not above creation.
Yeah.
I think we can be in awe of all these things that currently exist, but you can't worship them. You know what I mean? Like you it's a fine line. I don't know where it is. Like if it was just the fact of, it's so hard because it's like so many rabbit holes, but like where it gets really squirrely and wrong in my eyes is, yes, this company that this guy's a part of that was on Rogan are only focused on animal whatever efforts. But they're an open source technology company, so anybody from anywhere in this world can take that technology and use it for whatever, whether that's, I mean, what about organ farms? What about creating a artificial womb to create babies? Well, that's all wrong in my eyes. That part of it is 100% wrong. There's no amount of, I don't know.
The thing that makes it, it triggers I shouldn't say triggers my interest. It's interesting to me, to your point right there, is where it's like the fact that, I think we've had this ability to do this type of technology for a while, and feel free to, I mean, like I kind of talking out of my ass here, but like, this is just more opinion based. I have no factual information to really stand on, but like, I just think the concept behind it of these guys having the ability to do this and us having the technology to be able to do this, I just feel like it's in not just, in their eyes, maybe in the right mindset of where they want to be able to do this. And like you were talking about having regenerative organs and doing, it's like, well, we're one step away from creating
human life.
And then like, but this is where
not in the natural way, right?
No, yeah. And this is where it's just like we're playing with fire right now. We haven't made fire yet, kind of, but like you're just playing with it to where it's like,
well, they've made 3 of them.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm talking like in conception of like human, where it's like we're just playing, they're trying to play God. And sure. Is that right?
I mean, I would say 100% in the case of humans, no.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like the whole CRISPR thing, like they can, I can't say they can because who knows what's going on, but like talking about making a person smarter, changing eye color, changing the ability to look like a bodybuilder just because of your gene editing,
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like, I think with all of it, you're stepping into God's lane a little bit, where I think God ultimately holds the keys to life and death, and trying to recreate what, he allowed to fade might be more of a pride problem than a progress solution, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's so hard. The
slippery slope.
Yeah, there's a great word for it. Where does it end? And that's, like I said, it's very interesting, very, interesting. But like the whole time that they were talking about, it's like, where does it end?
Yeah,
where does it stop? Because and you could go back to the Tower of Babel, where you're talking about like people's prides got in the way of what truly is important, where it's like, well, we don't need God anymore. We can do it. Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you something, buddy. You got a whole nother thing coming.
It's, yeah, I'm going to leave it at slippery slope. I think it's a very, once again, it's cool. It's trendy. It's new type of thing. But I really do feel like it's something that it's going to be having the power to be able to do something like that. It's going to be hard trying to tell people like, all right, that's far as we can go. Can't go any further. It's like, we've already done it. I can't like, I think it's only
cat's out of the bag, right?
It's only going to continue to evolve and grow. And I think and this is where we're humans, like I think out of human curiosity, I'm like, what's going to stop people from wanting to clone and make people? And then to your point, talking about Babel, where it's like, we don't need God. We are God,
we can do it at all, right?
And then that to me at that point of a society break that'll be a sad day.
Well, that'll be the end times, man. Yeah. It's like I said, it's super interesting. It's just so new, and I don't know exactly how to react to it, but I think there's a lot of pride in there because it's like, yeah, well, we want to do this for conservation. Well, yeah, but what about all these people that want to now pay to go see these things? There's always money involved, and when you start saying like, so and so can come see them, it's like, well, it's money talks, then so it's like, I don't know, man.
It's interesting. It is. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like anything, but outside of that though, it's springtime, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We got turkey hunting to be done, fishing to be had by hopefully by this time we have dead turkey. So
right. For sure, man. And yeah, Easter's when this drops will be just on the right around the corner too.
Yep.
A few days.
So be coming that Sunday. So
yeah. Yep. It's spring is, like you said, spring has sprung, and it's time to get back in the woods and do the things that we love to do, and remember that we're a part of creation. We aren't creation.
Amen to that. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening, and super exciting times. Springtime is here, turkey hunting's here, trout fishing's here, and we look forward to finally bringing you some fun stories about turkey hunting and more turkey talk stuff actually in the woods. But we will just see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith in the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.